What's going on, guys? Sticks here from the Token Minorities, bringing you the weekly recap for Week 11 of the GBA, and yes, I am still alive. I kinda got swallowed by a whale lord, so I had to fight my way out and ended up having to offer a skitty as tribute, but I am back, I am alive, and I would say as always, but let's be real, it's only been a select few times that both of us have actually been here. Joining me, as always, is good old host, or whatever you want to call him.
What is going on, GBA? I am the Confusion, and finally back, the two of us have united again to recap Week 11. I know it's been really tough these last couple weeks, where one week there wasn't a video, another week we had to have Rob help us out, which, again, props to him, he helped us out a ton, so thank you. But, yeah, we're finally back, schedules get tight, life doesn't always go your way, but you know what, we're here to talk about the battles, so let's get into one of the craziest week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a crazy week, and while life may have gotten in the way of you recording, I just already told everybody that I was swallowed by a whale lord, so that was not my fault in the least. But anyway, let's just go ahead and jump into the first match, and that was between the Milwaukee Saucebucks, coached by Steve, and the Pittsburgh Piratas, coached by Tup. Milwaukee brought Slowbro, Gengar, Heatran, Meloetta, Sandslash, and Mienshao, while Pittsburgh brought Tangrowth, Tentacruel, Azelf, Heracross, Excadrill, and Hippowdon. Right from team preview, it really looked like Tup was going to have a heck of a time trying to handle the special attackers from Steve, mainly Slowbro and Gengar. And really, this match was just very, very fast, as Trick Room did work early and late. Early on, Steve was able to use Trick Room to KO the Hippowdon and nearly get the KO on the Hippowdon. I believe it lived with like 1 or something like that, and actually get the KO on the Tangrowth, which was honestly the only thing that Tup really had for a Slowbro under Trick Room. While he did have a temporary advantage, Tup eventually just got decimated by Trick Room Slowbro, who was able to bring it all the way back for a very quick 3-0, although Steve has balls of steel as he went for Fire Blast on the Heracross instead of the Psychic. I mean, I really don't know why he did that, apart from just like, he must have just like grabbed his crotch, pointed to the sky, and been like, I'm doing this. And yeah, that's just how it ended. So yeah, very quick 3-0 and Trick Room doing work for Steve.
Yeah, Trick Room is something you don't see that often, but when you do see it, it usually puts in work. You usually don't see a failed Trick Room team. Usually they're there for specific reasons, and this was a reason that completely worked in their favor. So awesome seeing Trick Room go into effect and work so successfully.
Really quick, I mean, you say you almost always see Trick Room do well. The only time I've seen Trick Room do poorly is when I use it, so,
Isn't that right? Like, I could take a team off of, like, the official, like, showdown, like, this is the best team, and, like, fail. Just sit at the bottom of the ladder, not do anything. But moving on, we're going to jump into the San Francisco Giants up against the Utah Jasmine match. The Giants brought Entei, Cresselia, Zapdos, Nidoking, Metagross, and Ditto, while the Utah Jasmine brought Clefable, Staraptor, Greninja, Gliscor, Empoleon, and Sableye. Now, obviously, this is the one game that actually had the time out, if you didn't know. It reached all the way to the end of the timer. Both teams still had 4 Pokemon still left, but because the Utah Jasmine had more health on their Pokemon, with Pokemon like Gliscor having Roost and Clefable having Moonlight, it was just not enough. The Giants team got worn down. Geo didn't have as much recovery, especially when Toxic Staraptor completely surprised Geo, as he was able to Toxic the Cresselia, and that was definitely a huge turning point, although I think it could have been Toxic anyway, especially with Gliscor having pretty much perfect coverage for his team. Earthquake hitting half his team for super effective damage, and Toxic hitting the other 2 Pokemon in Zapdos and Cresselia as walls, which can't do much after being Toxic. So the Gliscor had an amazing matchup. Obviously, what made the battle go so long was not just the core of Gliscor, Roost, and Clefable with Moonlight, but Ditto. Ditto transforming into Clefable or Gliscor is not fun. They cannot do much to each other. There was the Calm Mind Wars between Cresselia. It was just a very long, drawn-out battle where not many Pokemon died. Pokemon like Entei didn't get into the match that often, and neither did Greninja, making it hard for really anyone to get any kills. Although 2 Pokemon did go down, Metagross got a nice kill from Staraptor. It was just really drawn out, and it did reach the timer. It's unfortunate to see battles go this way, especially since it was a 4-4, pretty much a tie, except one team had more health. But that's what happened, and then the win does go to the Utah Jasmine.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like matches like that just kind of make me cry as I sit there for hours and hours. I mean, I exaggerate, but it was over an hour of sitting there going, oh my god, is anything going to die? But, I mean, that's what you get. It comes down to health, and if you are going to have matches go down to that point, then you might as well just bring a team full of Blissey and just pray. But on that note, we are going to jump into the next match, where you have Newcastle United coached by Fufu versus the Atlanta HAWLUCHAS coached by Fizz. Newcastle brought Crocodile, Mew, Dragonite, Suicune, Crobat, and Klefki, while Atlanta brought Heliolisk, Porygon 2, Volcanion, Whimsicott, Salamence, and Hawlucha. And really from team preview, Fizz's team was very, very hindered by knockoff spam from Crocodile specifically, but I mean Mew could potentially also carry that, so I was really interested to see how that kind of dynamic would play out. Special Crobat was able to put in some work early as it heavily damaged the Hawlucha and brought P2 into range of being KO'd by Dragonite. A really great prediction by Fufu, by leaving his Dragonite in on the Salamence, was able to put the Salamence into E-Speed range after Fizz overpredicted and went for a DD, which really ended up giving him nothing from his Ments at all. Volcanion was able to get a nice amount of damage on Suicune, including the burn for I believe the first time this season, and a fortunate roar into Heliolisk allowed Fizz to grab a KO on the Klefki before going down to the Mew, but ultimately Crobat was able to clean up the game for Fufu, and it was really just a relatively, I think that was a nice balanced match. I mean, there was some good offense, you have some good defense, but it was just a very good overall match to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely something to point out is predictions. When you're trying to predict, there are so many mind games that are involved because you're not just playing against your standard OU player, you're playing up against someone who is trying to predict you. So you need to predict that.
Aren't you always playing against someone who's trying to predict you?
Yeah, but sometimes when you're just on the ladder, laddering, sometimes these people are dumb.
Well, maybe where you ladder, yes, people, shade has been thrown right now.
Oh my god.
I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, these are very competitive. This is the end of the season where people are really trying to clinch their playoff spots, so the prediction games are absolutely everywhere, and you never really know what's going to happen. So let's move into the next battle, which is the Boston Red Sox up against the Borussia. Oh, don't do this to me. Borussia DONPHAN.
You're having trouble the same way I did.
I haven't done that this season. First time I had trouble with that. The Boston Red Sox brought Kyurem Black, Mega Venusaur, Skarmory, Jolteon, Feraligatr, and Drapion, while the Borussia DONPHAN brought their Mega Alakazam, Landorus, Shaman, Scizor, Mesprit, and Druddigon. I just want to point out before we actually get into the match, the Borussia DONPHAN actually brought some very cool sets. I love the fact that Druddigon had Flamethrower. It does get the Shield 4 boost, not that powerful. We have a Assault Vest Mesprit. But if you didn't know, the Boston Red Sox got a 4-0 up against them because of some amazing predictions and some amazing sets. Starting off with the Skarmory prediction and the Drapion prediction. Drapion in against that Landorus, but actually stayed in, risking the Earth Power, trying to predict that HP Fire, which worked out, allowing it to get a huge knockoff on both the Mesprit and the Landorus, which was very useful. Also, some more predictions around Skarmory. Jolteon being able to get an agility was just huge, putting in a lot of damage up against Pokemon, being able to kill the Mesprit, and actually, after being scared off by the Mega Alakazam, a Baton Pass into Kyurem Black, plus 2-speed Kyurem Black, is destruction. Being able to 2-hit KO the Scizor with that Bolt Strike or Fusion Bolt, whichever one it is, carrying the Babiri Berry. Like, the prep was insane on the Boston Red Sox side. Passing the speed, 2-AKing the Scizor, being able to eat up that Bullet Punch after taking rocks and Hidden Power Ground from Mega Alakazam. So just amazing prep on that part. 2 agility Pokemon actually putting in the work, as Feraligatr is actually able to come in at the end of the game, set up the agility, Vengeance, as before when they faced the agility, Feraligatr did not work. This time it did, and agility Feraligatr being able to clean 2 kills. Very fast-paced match, which with a lot more solid predictions, I would say. Great prep, great game on both of their sides, but the Boston Red Sox were able to take the victory with the amount of prep and prediction they put into this game.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I really do love Agility Feraligatr. That's one of my favorite sets of all time, so it was nice to see that set get a little bit of love. On to the next match, which was probably the surprise of the week, and that was the New York Metapods, coached by A-Drive, versus San Diego CHIMCHARGERS, coached by Envy. New York brought Mega Altaria, Victini, Skuntank, Rotom W, Blastoise, and Gourgeist, while San Diego brought Jirachi, Togekiss, Keldeo, Haxorus, not Mega DONPHAN, that'd be actually really cool to see, DONPHAN, and Mega Ampharos. What do you think about Mega DONPHAN would be? That'd be like Rock Ground or something?
Wow, no. It should
Dude,
be
that'd
like...
be so...
It should be Ground
so sick,
Steel.
like
Don't you ever think it should be Ground Steel?
Oh, yeah, that'd be
that.
really, really cool.
Right.
But anyway, sorry, that was a tangent. On to the battle. Over the course of the season, one big thing I've noticed from MB is that he always brings one or more setup sweepers, and it either wins him the game or it just kind of sort of blows up in his face. This match was quite the display of the latter, and thank you, Fusion, for the sound effects.
Pleasure.
While Envy seemed to have an early advantage by getting a little damage on the Gourgeist and managing to KO the Rotom with Nasty Plot Togekiss, V-Create Banded Victini was able to damage the Donphan to the point where Blastoise was actually able to keep rocks off the field for Dan with successive Rapid Spins, although it didn't come down to a Rapid Spin KO. Gourgeist proved to be a grade A pain in Envy's side, as it was able to frequently Leech Seed and recover hits for Dan. Ultimately, it was Mega Altaria that was able to DD up and destroy the rest of Envy's team after Envy thought that it was more of a defensive set, which allowed it to get the DD, which turned a 5-4 disadvantage into a 4-0 as Envy was just unable to get the flinch with Jirachi, which ended up being the game.
Yeah, watching the beginning of that match, you'd expect Envy to have the lead in that situation as the game started off, but after, you could see Dan had a plan and it ended up working, paying off. A bulky Mega Altaria threw Envy for a loop and ended up sweeping him. So GG to that. That was a great game, awesome game to actually watch, as I'm sure most of you can agree. Moving on to the next match, the complete opposite of Gio's match that stalled out to the timer battle. We have a battle that is, I believe, less than 20 turns. We have the sweep from the Tampa Bay Luxrays versus the San Jose Sharpedos. The Luxrays brought Garchomp, Mega Manectric, Azumarill, Porygon Z, Bronzong, and Amoonguss, while the San Jose Sharpedos brought Starmie, Milotic, Sawk, Tyrantrum, Xatu, and Gligar. This is a 6-0 sweep by a sub-SD Garchomp, putting in the absolute work, as not much Pokemon could touch it. Milotic being the specific setup fodder in this situation, in which Milotic was trying to play some mind games. I don't think it actually went for Scald, but it was able to set up a substitute on it. It did go for Haze first time around, which was smart, because the Tampa Bay Luxrays didn't even go for the SD, not showing it yet, going for Earthquake, getting some damage, which was very smart. Afterwards, he did go for the SD, and was able to just knock out the rest of the team. Obviously, we have the unfortunate, I believe, misgen on the side of the Sharpedos, where whoever gens his Pokemon didn't make Starmie timid. Is that raises speed? It was modest instead of timid, I believe. Yeah, not jolly, timid. It should have been timid. It was unfortunately modest, and it allowed Garchomp to outspeed that Starmie and KO it. It did matter because Starmie could have broken Garchomp's sub, and then the Scarfed Sawk was probably able to KO that non-defensive Garchomp with the Ice Punch. Later on, obviously, we saw that Sawk was Mold Breaker, so it didn't have the sturdy. It clicked Ice Punch, it broke the sub, but it didn't really matter from then because Garchomp was able to Earthquake, and with a combination of Stone Edge, completely knock out all members of the San Jose Sharpedos. It's an unfortunate battle, but at the same time, you have to give credit where credit is due, and the Tampa Bay Luxrays and Monotui had an amazing matchup. He played very well, he knew what he was going to do, but GG to the both of them, and just a great match.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny on our whole GBA Season 6 internal Google document. It has kind of just a summary of the matchup where you have a list of the Pokemon and kills versus deaths. And on the Tampa Bay Luxury side, you just see Garchomp with 6 and then zeros across the board for the rest of Mono's team. Then you look on Tom's team and you just see a 1 all the way down for deaths and no kills. It's just kind of funny. It's funny to look at. I mean, everybody gets swept once in a while.
Because normally, as you guys are looking at this, you see 2 kills, then a death here, then a death here. You just see 6 next to that Garchomp and 1s across the board from the Sharpedos. For me, it's a little sad to see because it's like, oh damn, none of your Pokemon can really do anything to that one Mon. But I guess that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, every one of us has been 6-0'd at one point or another in our Pokemon career, and if you haven't, good on you. But let's go ahead and jump into another match, which was kind of well, actually, it was almost a sweep that kind of got averted towards the end, and that is the Real Morel, coached by Miguel, versus Philadelphia Scizors, coached by Chimp. Real Morel brought Weavile, Mega Blastoise, Talonflame, Registeel, Goodra, Zebstrika, while Philly brought Magneton, Scolipede, Cofagrigus, Steelix, Aerodactyl, and Mega Diancie. And Weavile immediately looked like a gigantic threat to Chimpact as it was able to outspeed the majority of Chimp's team and carry a super effective move on, priority move on the paper-thin defense that is Aerodactyl. Great. While Aerodactyl... Thank you. Yeah, there must be a Politoed outside. While Aerodactyl was able to get a solid amount of damage off on the Talonflame with Pursuit early, it really didn't do much more as Registeel was able to tank Life Orb, Earthquakes, although not amazingly, and knock it out. Chimp was able to put in some absolute work when Scolipede was able to pass +6 attack along with a lot of speed. I really didn't count exactly, but it was enough to Steelix and punch a huge hole in Miguel's team. Fortunately for Miguel, he was able to use Tailwind from Talonflame to avoid a complete sweep and scare out Steelix with the Zebstrika. Later, Chimp was once again able to pass boosts with Scolipede to Steelix, but Mega Blastoise came through clutch. I say came through clutch as in it avoided a Thunder Fang and took out the Steelix, which really just sealed the game for Miguel as a burnt Weavile was able to get 3 kills, and you just never ever see that happen.
I mean, it's powerful. It's very powerful. But yeah, obviously the miss, 5% chance to miss, very unfortunate. But at the same time, the Real Morel played very well in a very tough situation, and I am very distracted by this rain. But otherwise, the Talonflame with the Tailwind was definitely a clutch last-minute move, or just having that in general definitely saved the game for Miguel. The way he played around it was very impressive. It's very scary to face something like that, especially when you don't have the exact answers for something like that. So just GG to them. So moving on to the last match of Week 11, the week before the last week, we have the New Orleans Pelippers up against the San Francisco Arcaniners. New Orleans Pelippers and Pokemon brought Miltank, Mega Lopunny, Landorus Incarnate, Cryogonal, Reuniclus, and Latios, while San Francisco Arcaniners brought their Mamoswine, Manaphy, Infernape, Nidoqueen, Snorlax, and Gardevoir. Now, this match was definitely one of my favorites because these two have been here for such a long time, and you always see their games go down to the absolute wire, that 1 HP till the very end. But starting from the beginning, you have that Curselax putting in a ton of work up against the Pokemon like the Miltank and the Reuniclus, even the Landorus doing literally no damage with Superpower after a couple curses. Afterwards, Snorlax was able to be whittled down, especially with the Miltank carrying Rocky Helmet, and Snorlax really only having leftovers as a way to heal itself. It got whittled down very quickly. Otherwise, Infernape putting in a ton of work getting a kill on that Miltank. Its Life Orb and the Rocky Helmet did make it not so valuable towards the end when it just ended up throwing a Mach Punch into the Latios, allowing it for later on for a Mamoswine to potentially get an Ice Shard off. Other than that, we have Cryogonal, also an MVP for the New Orleans Pelippers, carrying Haze, able to stop the Snorlax, but it was able to temporarily stop it, and then it would have to set up later on. But also Reuniclus being a great set, just pivoting around with Assault Vest and the Regenerator. It's amazing to see how he uses it. I know it's one of his favorite sets, and it works so well. But also an interesting set with the Gardevoir carrying a bulky set with Wish Protect, also putting in a ton of work. But towards the end, we have to go to the late game where the fun actually happens. Cryogonal being able to pretty much knock out the rest of the San Francisco Arcaniners teams. Unfortunately, though, the Manaphy was able to live. It got the Salac Berry, I believe, raised its speed, and then set up a Tail Glow, able to just sweep the rest of the team. So towards the end, you have to give props to the San Francisco Arcaniners. The way he just pivoted, George played very well with his Pokemon. I know John also played very well. You could see it in his commentary, how much he was thinking into every single move. So impressive on both of their sides. It was a great match. The San Francisco Arcaniners did take that 1-0, but it was a great match. definitely a quality Pokemon battle, you have to say. The hacks wasn't really that present. It was just a straight game with the movesets and everything just working in synergy together. Awesome game. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, because it is not a match you want to miss.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, you love to see that. You love to see just close matches that really nothing too significant happens in terms of hacks, so it's just a straight played match between two high-level players that comes down to as close as it did. But let's just go ahead and jump right on over to the conferences and divisions and whatnot, and you'll see that once again you have the CHIMCHARGERS and the Scizors leading their respective divisions and kind of just the entire league at 8-3, but you also have the Boston Red Sox coming up, joining them at 8-3, although Chimp still has he still has just a gigantic lead in terms of differential at plus 27, which in my opinion is actually pretty ridiculous. And then if you go on the other side, you have the Silver Division, which is still almost completely up for grabs going into the last week, with Utah Jasmine and Pittsburgh Piratas being separated by 1 game and a single differential point, so I'm really looking for that. And then over in the Blue Division, you have the San Francisco Arcaniners and Tampa Bay Luxrays separated again by a single game and a single differential point.
So now moving into the league leaders, we have up on top Landorus Incarnate, that Pokemon that needs to be banned next season, with 17 total kills so far and only 6 deaths, which with a plus 11 differential. Then we have right after that Mega Lopunny with 17 kills as well, but 7 deaths with a 10 differential. Then we have Victini, which is a Pokemon that we saw climb slowly but surely to the top with 14 kills and 5 deaths. Right after that, we have Garchomp and Mega Diancie. Garchomp with 14 kills, Mega Diancie with 13 kills, and then pretty much everyone else has 13 kills, up until you get to the Laias and Excadrill with 12 kills. But when you actually look at this, it looks like we have 3 Megas on the board, with Mega Lopunny, Mega Diancie, and Mega Altaria, 2 of them being Mega Fairies, which, as we all know, Fairy types in the 6th generation are obliteration. They just destroy lives. So just awesome to see those Pokemon up there. Then again, I know you and I, Sticks, love seeing Infernape up on the board. It is an amazing Pokemon with so much versatility, so it's just awesome. Even though it has so many deaths, it's died 10 times, it is still such an amazing pivot and Pokemon. It's great. So definitely one of my favorites. I'm happy to see Victini in the top 3, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with the Infernape, I mean, you gotta go big or you go home, and that's the story of Infernape, who has almost as many deaths as kills, but you gotta love seeing the Garchomp jump from not even on the list to number 4 just from that 6-0. I mean, that'll do it. You just get a plus 6 differential in 1 week, and I mean, that accounts for almost half its kills was just this week alone, so really great to see, and I'm looking forward to a very, very, very intense week 12, and I'm excited to see the playoff picture as it fills out.
Yeah, it is gonna be an amazing last week. These coaches have worked their butt off to make sure that they prep, and it's a lot of work and a lot of hard dedication. So I just want a huge shout out to all the coaches who put in so much work into something for fun. This is content they make for you for fun, and we do this as well for fun. We just love looking at these matches. They're so close, they're so amazing. So just a great way to end the season. It's been an amazing season 6. So just, yeah, I can't wait for the next week.
Wait, you do this for fun? I get paid to do this. But
oh no,
anyway,
what?
Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. And unless Confusion has anything to say, which I'm sure he doesn't, this is Styx signing out.
Peace.